All right. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the dinner. Dr. Hansen, this song's coming after the program, so we didn't want to start the show too early, so yeah, you're the grand finale. So, welcome. Again, my name is Kirk Scarborough. I am a 2010, which seems like yesterday, but it's a long time ago, graduate from the Department of Communications here at WT. Oh, thank you. I graduated. So as a graduate of this program and a past recipient of the Rising Star Award, I am so excited that we all are here to celebrate some of the best from the WT Communication Department. So if you've joined us in previous years, notably last year, you might be currently crafting a strongly worded email asking Dr. Hansen why in the world she's allowing me to MC again. But if this is your first Communication Hall of Fame, fasten your seatbelts, because it's going to be a bumpy night. So my idol, Ira Glass, bless him, it says that great stories happen to those who can tell them. And so tonight we're celebrating not only the stories, but the tellers. And more importantly, we're honoring the institution that helped build our rhetorical muscles. So last year we rolled out our Lori Westerman Ad PR Scholarship, and because of all of your contributions, the scholarship was fully funded, and the Communication Department was able to award 3 different Ad PR majors with financial aid. So give yourself a round of applause. A new challenge. So this year, we want to recognize a recent graduate who's already making a difference. So Wilson Lemo, you are right there. Can you please stand? So Wilson is, oh yeah, you don't even know what he's done yet, but we'll just clap. Wilson was a 2014 graduate, so he graduated too, a 2014 graduate from the Department of Communication, and he has gone on to create his own agency, Lemo Company, which in my head I keep calling it Lemo Co. So if you want to steal that and use it, I'll charge you a nice little fee. So Wilson actually has already seeded a new scholarship and has done the initial donation to start the Wilson Lemo Slow and Steady Scholarship. And we all want to help him fully fund that. So if you want to contribute to that scholarship, reach out to Dr. Hansen or any of the WT Communication faculty, and they'll be able to tell you what your next steps should be. And hopefully next year, your MC will be able to tell you that that scholarship was also fully funded, and we were able to give scholarships to some amazing WT students. And thank you Wilson, for paying it forward or paying it back, whatever that is, to the future storytellers that will be joining us out here in the real world. So we want to thank our selection committee, and they are comprised, not compromised. They're comprised of communication professionals from our community who agreed to serve and make these important selections. So if you're part of the committee, please stand, and I'm going to recognize Mary Coyne, Stephen Denny, Lori James, John Lee, Krista Glasgow, Matt Hamilton, and Dan Morgan. Thank you for serving on the committee. And if you're receiving an award tonight, you need to thank them a lot. So we also want to recognize the other faculty that are here. There are a lot of WT faculty that have shaped a lot of us and are continuing to shape the students here. So please, if you're a WT faculty member, please stand so we can recognize you. And many of these faculty members served on the planning committee tonight, so thank you. And our department head, Dr. Trudy Hansen, she is the tiny but mighty leader of the communications department. Thank you for all of your hard work as well. And just a bit ago, I'm going off script, which I will a lot. Just a bit ago, Dr. Hansen, even though you graduate, she is still advising you. I was sitting in her office a bit ago, and she's just blowing my mind with the tips that she has for our future. So thank you for not only what you did, but what you're continuing to do. You are just wonderful. Yeah, where's gonna clap a lot. So our table sponsors, where you're sitting, are listed in your program. I'm gonna shout them out really quickly. The American Advertising Federation Amarillo, Campus to Community Office of Experiential Learning, Communication Alumni Network, Connie McKee, WT Forensics Director, Jessica Mallard, Dean of the Sybil B. Harrington College of Fine Arts and Humanities, Lance Keith, Agricultural Media and Communication Program, Lubbock Audiovisual, MCMC, Mary Coyne Marketing Communications, Randy Ray, Director of Broadcast Engineering, Steve and Lou Ann Seaborn, and WT Athletics. So thank you so much for sponsoring tables. And we are also extremely thankful for all of you. So I'm going to keep thanking you for coming. So thank you so much for attending tonight. So we are going to dig into the awards, and we are going to hear probably some great stories from some amazing tellers. So the first award is an award that is special to me. It is the Rising Star Award, presented to a young professional who is making significant contributions in his or her area of expertise and is a graduate of the Communications or Mass Communications undergraduate or Communications master's program. So, on to the awards. I have known our first recipient for a little over 12 years now, which seems like yesterday. So we competed against each other in high school, the Big Spring High School Tournament. I was trying to think of where that was. And then we performed together here at West Texas A&M on the speech team. And we had a memorable moment watching a speaker here at WT. During my senior year, Dr. Maya Angelou came to speak at WT, and she if you were present, she just like spewed all of this wisdom on us, and we were in love with what she was saying. When she used this analogy that you should be the rainbow in someone else's clouds, and everyone was like crying as she was saying that. And I remember going back to campus and walking near the Fine Arts Building, and I saw Eva walking across the grassy area, and I was like, there's my rainbow in the clouds. So I tackled her, literally just tackled her. I just said, rainbow in the clouds. I left her on the grass and just kept running, and I heard her laugh just like billow up into the clouds. So, so our first recipient tonight is writer and editor for America's Promise Alliance. Please join me in congratulating Miss Eva Harder. We get a picture.
Oh, hi. Oh. The grass stains. So from the first moment that I found out I was getting this award, true to form, I started overanalyzing and like overthinking way too much about what it means to be a star. And I don't mean that metaphorically, I mean literally, like the things we see when we look up at the sky. And so after some really extensive research, and by research I mean Google, I found out a few really interesting things about stars. So the first thing is that what we see is actually relative to our own position. For example, if you were to go to the North Pole and look up at the sky, you wouldn't see stars that rise or set or even stay still. You would see them moving around overhead in one continuous loop. I Google image searched it, it's a real thing and it looks really cool. Second, even though they look like solitary individuals, a lot of stars actually come in pairs, with 2, 3, or more of them serving as systems or families that all orbit a common center of gravity. But most importantly, I realized there would be no one in this room with a PhD in astronomy who can challenge me on any of those statements, so I stand by them. But there have been times, as many of you know, that my own celestial trajectory looked like the stars above the North Pole, spinning around in aimless circuitousness. But there have also been times I landed on what I thought was an impressive position only to realize it didn't make me happy or offer a lot of light. And for too long, I felt like I was trying to chart my own success based on what other people would see from some distant vantage point. In case I haven't thoroughly exhausted this metaphor, let me just say that in a world obsessed with maintaining the appearance of constant upward motion and misguided signals about what it means to have value in this life, I first learned that there was more than one way to truly shine brightly for many of the people at this university and in this room. When I was here, I was lucky enough to have professors and administrators who do their jobs with passion and integrity and an impressive amount of patience and compassion for their students. The opportunities I had here, from a visit to Auschwitz to a semester in Italy to an internship in DC, had a clear and direct impact on the person I am and the career I have today. But so did long emotional talks with Dr. Hansen and Dr. Mallard, classes I took with Paula Schlegel and Dr. Schaefer, and the speech team with Connie McKee, and of course being tackled on the grass by Kirk Scarborough. It was here that I first realized that the depth of our love, the quality of our friendships, and the joy we managed to find on the stubborn search for our own galaxies are no less noble measures of our worth. So thank you for this award, but more than anything, thank you to those of you who saw a brightness in me when I did not, and for the moments when I felt most solitary and alone, for sharing a common center of gravity. Thank you.
Earlier today, I stepped towards her and she flinched, and she honestly thought I was going to tackle her again. All right, so our next rising star is honestly one of the most hardworking and sincere people I have ever met. The fact that he continues to pour his love back into this university and back into the WT speech team from 300 miles away and care and love so much on those students is incredible. So he is a project manager at Flagship Credit Acceptance. Please join me in welcoming Shay Ward. Oh, yeah.
So far less elegant of a speaker as Eva is, and going to IT recently, my speech will be a little bit smaller. But I do have a story to tell. I was about 10 minutes away from not coming to WT, which would have been the biggest mistake of my life, and it's all because of that woman sitting at table 5 right there, Connie McKee. So upon coming from one of the pipeline schools that go to WT, Aubrey High School, Connie McKee told me that she didn't really know who I was. We met at UIL State, and she basically didn't pay any attention to me because two of the people that were on our team were higher recruits than I was, and things changed over time. We talk about the WT faculty and everything that we've done over time here collectively as a university, but also as the communication department, and I can't thank each of you enough for what you've been able to give me, my family, as well as what we've been able to give other students, and that's why I continuously come back and help the forensics team as much as I possibly can. It's crazy to think that I was once a lonely freshman here coming in, like Eva said, as a dual star who was able to reach my potential and kind of figure out where I wanted to be in life. And that's attributed more to just Connie, but also to the communications faculty as a whole. Paula Schlegel for telling me that, gender communication is important, and me and my wife being in the same class and fighting through that class on to how we were going to communicate through the rest of our lives. And then Dr. Hansen teaching me how to scholastically write. That was interesting. So between all of you guys, I really appreciate everything that's been done, and thank you for the consideration in this award. And I'll continue to give back to you guys as you've given to me, because it is important that we pay it forward. So thank you all very much.
So our Community Partner Award is presented to a community organization or a business which has partnered with the Department of Communication in significant ways. So tonight's recipient was actively involved in helping the Department of Communication launch its student-run public relations agency, 1910 PR, and is frequent a guest speaker for departmental activities. So please join me in congratulating Mary Coyne, owner of Mary Coyne Marketing Communications. Congratulations.
Thank you, Kirk. I want that to fall. Appreciate it, Kirk. Thank you. And my sincere thanks to the Department of Communication for this award. I love this school. I want to thank Dr. Kinski for inviting me to come help launch the PR firm, and all the other faculty that invite me in all the time to come speak. And it's really just such an honor and a pleasure to do that. This is really, truly a lovely award, and I really appreciate it. I do love WT. Many years ago, I was just out of college from an unnamed university, and I came here as an adjunct faculty and taught media law for a semester, and later I was on staff as the director of communications here. And today I get the honor and privilege of getting to promote the programs of the graduate school and education on demand. So I've just had a lot of, I've had a chance to be involved with this university in many different ways, and it's really always such a pleasure to be here. I want to thank the faculty here in the Department of Communications, because one of the things that university faculty members are uniquely qualified to do is to instill a love of learning that lasts a lifetime. Faculty members have just a difficult and evolving job these days. In the past, all they had to do is really teach people how to do the job. And today, because the job changes just moment to moment, you have to really teach people how to think and how to learn and how to love doing that for the rest of their lives. And it's something that university faculty are uniquely qualified to do, and I know the Department of Communication faculty really takes that responsibility seriously. It's important work that we do. And I do thank you for all that you do to prepare the next generation of communication professionals. I thank you for this lovely, lovely award, and I want you to keep up the good work. Thank you.
Okay, the Eternal Flame Award is presented to someone who has made substantial contributions to the department in service and support over a number of years. So the individual's affiliation with the department has been long-standing, but the individual may or may not have graduated from WT. So tonight's recipient joined the WT faculty in 2002, and she served as the Director of Graduate Studies and Communication and as the Director of the Atterbury Honors Program before being named as the Dean in 2012. And as Dean, she has seen the expansion of 4 departments and 1 school in the college, while continuing to teach research methods at the undergrad level and being a tireless supporter of many activities planned by the department. Even she was willing to debate the British debaters when they came here. She's not going to, but if she would, if they'd let her. So she, on a personal note, was my very first and my very last college instructor. Speech 101 in the new Fine Arts Complex. We'd broken that classroom. And an honors trip to Costa Rica that I had the privilege to take with her after walking the stage. And there's a moment in Costa Rica that I feel like embodies Dr. Mallard. We were shopping for her son, Nathan, a toy in a toy store. And it was just she and I walking around the toy store. And I was on one side, she was on the other. And all of a sudden, like, I felt the ground shake. And toys just fell off the shelf. And I turned to look at her because she was like my mom there. And I was like, what happened? And she looked at me and she's like, what did you just do? I was like, I think an earthquake just happened. She's like, an earthquake didn't happen. And so we got back to the dorms and everyone's like, did you feel the earthquake? I'm like, I told you that wasn't me. And it's like, I think that is like the perfect metaphor for you, Dr. Mallard. Like, the earth can be shaking and you are so calm and collected around all of that as I'm like flailing and knocking things off. I would say that's also a metaphor in you believing me, but you didn't believe me, so we'll just leave that one aside. And little did you know that she and her husband Chuck and her son Nathan also co-own and operate a bed and breakfast for all visiting communication alumni. And thank you for that, for allowing all of us to stay with you. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Jessica Mallard.
So I said to Kirk right then, I said, I didn't expect to cry. And he's like, yes. So yeah, that's what you get for the bed and breakfast. Just a wonderful honor to be part of the college and particularly part of the Department of Communication. And I would tell you, when I first took over as interim dean, it was overwhelming. I was asked by James Hallmark to do that. And then all these people started saying, wow, great job, you know, and I'm not really comfortable with compliments, and the cameras and stuff don't really like them. And so I went to my longtime mentor, Dr. Trudy Hansen, and I don't know where Trudy is. I know, okay, yeah, we're waiting for the stage show later. And so I said to Trudy, I'm like, you know, what do I do when people say stuff like this? And she goes, well, you deflect to your team and you talk about your team. And that was amazing advice, and it still rings true today. And so I could not be where I am and support the department without the amazing team and people who are on my team. I use the metaphor of team, but really it's family, that there is this family at WT, and I feel blessed that many of us are a part of it. And so first and foremost, that would be my husband Chuck and my son Nathan. They're always there to love and support me, but I think more importantly, they're there to keep me grounded with their irreverent humor. And so an example of that would be, I was at a conference, I come home, and my son informs me, Dad says you're not my mom. And I'm like, okay, there's pictures, right? And so that would be one of them. And the other one is, my office staff loves it whenever Chuck calls and he asks for me, and it's like, is Her Majesty in? Or their recent favorite was, is the Queen of Darkness in? And I'm not sure what to think about that, but he has entertained my office staff and they love to take his calls. Next, I would not be able to get things done and done efficiently and effectively and beautifully without the office staff that I have. And they are amazing. And I would just have to call out to Dr. Kaler, Verna, Melissa, wherever she is. She's running around doing things. Where's Melissa? Yes, thank you. And our student workers, Lauren, who's been in our college for 3 years. She's an ag student that does work for Fine Arts and Humanities, and it's a nice balance, and you know, we just wouldn't know what to do without her, so thank you. And this feeling of team, oh, Verna, did I say Verna? Yes, okay. Verna twice, maybe. And this feeling of team is, when I started as interim, it was just for a year. But what I found was this feeling of, I'm not just doing things or facing problems by myself. It's a team, and we're trying to make things better, and we're doing it as a team. And that's really what convinced me to stay in the dean position. And without them, I would not still be here. So thank you. And then finally, my third team would be the communication faculty, and they're a very special group. And I hope Randy Ray or any of you to make you cry, because Kirk did it to me. And, you know, they're a special family. There are 5 departments in Fine Arts and Humanities, and they're all awesome. But whenever I send out a call and I say, hey, I need help, I need someone to advise a student organization, and I send it to all 5 departments, and hopefully the other ones aren't represented here. But, it's communication faculty, and it's Connie McKee saying, I'll do this. It's time and time again. They jump in and they'll say they do it. And it is just amazing, and I value that. And so without those 3 families or teams, I would not be anywhere near where I am today. And I thank you for the award, and I thank you for the great people you are to be part of my team to help me be in this place. Thank you.
Sorry, that was an earthquake. So we are now ready to induct our 3 recipients into the Hall of Fame. So all of the inductees for the 2017 Hall of Fame are all graduates of the program who have made significant contributions to their field of work and to their community. So before they come up and speak, we have a treat. We have video presentations of each inductee, little mini documentaries that were produced by students in the advanced video course taught by Mr. Randy Ray. And we are going to see them before our speakers come up. So we have some of those students that worked on those productions. If you're here, can you stand up so we can just recognize you really quickly? Thank you. All right, so our first inductee is Craig Gaultier.
Craig, C-R-A-I-G, not Greg, Craig Gaultier, G-U-A-L-T-I-E-R-E, Gaultier.
And now, how do we type?
Just Craig. Since I was a little kid, I was always just fascinated by people, and that kind of goes forward in my whole life. I'm just a below average guy who's been able to do some above average things, and it's because I put myself in those places to do those things. I spent 2 years at ML College, and then I moved on to WT. Those 4 years were 4 of the best years of my entire life. I spent so many hundreds of hours in the library. I really enjoyed going to class. I loved walking through the halls and seeing people I knew all the time. What got me to WT was kind of what I say about everything of how I got to where I am now. I just think it was God's plan, period. Here I am sitting on the halftime show. I can't remember what Super Bowl, but Katy Perry is coming out on this giant lion, and there's literally millions of people watching, and I'm on the field. I'm on the turf for the Super Bowl. It's awesome. Take you back to how I got this job. I was working on the NHRA drag racing circuit for Fram and Autolite. I'm on the back of a pickup truck in my little cute little Fram Autolite uniform, and I see this guy. He's got a white t-shirt and it says NFL Films on it. So I just jump off the truck. I walk up to the guy and I go, "Hey man, where'd you get that shirt?" Because I loved NFL and I also knew about NFL Films. And then he's like, "I worked there." I'm like, "Oh man, you got the best job in the world." And good perspective, he says, "No, you have the best job in the world." So that started a dialogue, and 25 years later, you know, this guy was just a cameraman at the time for NFL Films, and he ended up ascending all the way to vice president in NFL Films. Fast forward to Kid from Amarillo, Texas. I'm at the press conferences. I'm at the practices of the two teams are going to be playing in the biggest game in the world. You know, I'm carrying the practice tape of the New England Patriots, and I'm taking it to the stadium for everybody all over the world to see this footage. This one guy from Amarillo, Texas. Just simply carrying out a file cabinet or carrying out paper for the original owner's mom's, Joanne Thatcher, the Thatchers who started Roasters. Before you know it, she's like, "You need to come work for my son over at Roasters." So I rolled into the Roasters to simply just see what this is all about. Her son, Steve, said, "Let me make you something. If you don't like it, you don't have to pay for it." So he made me a cafe mocha. I literally started at Roasters on the very bottom level. I was cleaning the bathrooms, I was making drinks, I was ringing people up. I always treated Roasters like it was my company. The second owner of it actually came to me and he said, "Hey, you treat Roasters like it's yours, and I think you deserve it." Because I literally had $3,000 to my name or less. I had one banker, and West Texas A&M alum, Don Powell, took a chance on me. He was the only banker that would take a chance on me. What I did tell my accountant at the time was, it was a different banker she sent me to who turned me down. I said, "When I pay this loan off early, you got to call them and tell them that I paid it off early. I wanted to work on the NHRA drag racing circuit. I just found a way to do it. You know, I wanted to work a Super Bowl. I just found a way to do it. It's real simple. It's just a matter of you setting goals and then getting to those goals. I look back 30 years ago, 40 years ago, I wanted to be a race car driver. Yeah, I couldn't do it when I was 18, 19, 20, or 30. You know, I've had to wait until I'm 47, 48 years old. Just 2 weeks ago, I won class, the U.S. Nationals. It was kind of surreal, you know. Here I'm at the winner's circle at the U.S. Nationals, the biggest race in the United States, and I've dreamt this, or I wanted to do that 40 years ago, and I'm doing it. You can only succeed through the help of others, but you can fail all by yourself. People have to help you along the way.
Please join me in welcoming Craig Gaultier. Got it that time. Congratulations.
Wow, what a, you know, is this like a this is your life type of deal? I'm seeing sprays of flowers and my picture over there draped in black. Is this a funeral or, you know? Wow, I've given lots of presentations and I've given lots of speeches. I was, at the time, when I was a senior, I was working on my master's at the time, never finished it, but I was running for Randall County Commissioner. And I literally walked for 5 months, nonstop. If it was raining, snowing, every night, knocked on doors every night. And through that whole process, I was like, you know, it was all just about meeting people, you know, and talking to people. And I was like, all doing this while I was, you know, going to school at WT, and I was also just working at Roasters. And I was just a barista, you know, and I look and I go, man, I cannot believe. And then for the last, this has been the most, I've given, like I said, I've given lots of presentations and lots of speeches. And it has been eating and gnawing at me for like the last, you know, 6 weeks or since I heard about this, of receiving this really cool honor. And what am I going to talk about? You know, I've never been afraid of talking about myself, you know, but I just could not think for the life of me, you know, I remember sitting in the staging lanes at the U.S. Nationals just a few weeks ago. And I was going, God, what am I going to say? You know, I'm like, I'm fixing a race, you know, go down the quarter mile at 139 miles an hour, and I'm racing the biggest race in the world. And here I am thinking about what I'm going to give as a speech. You know, so there's two places where I do my best thinking. And I think some of you probably do the same, especially some of you men probably do the same thing. It's not what you think. Number one is being a drag racer, you're on the road a lot. You drive a lot. So a lot of windshield time, you know. And I can't tell you how many life experiences and things that I've changed by just simply driving, you know. And, I'm going to do this. You know, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And same thing in the shower. Literally, a few hours ago, I stood in the shower. Sorry for the visual. I know, scary. Bad visual. I get it. Fat guy in a little coat. I couldn't, you know, we're within 2 hours of the presentation, and I still don't have a speech, you know, what I'm going to talk about. And, of course, you know, the students who did that really cool documentary, little mini documentary, kind of like This Is Your Life, kind of stole a lot of my thunder, you know, kind of some things I was going to say. I guess what it basically boils down to, I don't think I can, you know, really touch upon anything here. First of all, love WT. It's like I said in that documentary, WT and Emerald College was literally 4 years of the best years of my life. Going from a point in education where literally Emerald High, I graduated from Emerald High in 1988. It was still this day the largest graduating class at Emerald High. We actually are the only class that had our commencement at Dick Bivens Stadium. So, little story about how smart I am, okay? At the end of the school year, the teachers hand out your placement of where you graduated, valedictorian, So we're literally at we're looking at the list, and she hands it over to me, and she kind of gives me a little smug, here you go, Craig. And talk about humbling. I look at the sheet, and I have to keep on looking down. And I say this in all seriousness. I was this far from the bottom of the list, graduate from Emerald High. So when I did 1991, my sister passed away, and I said, I need to really go back to school and get an education. So I took it really seriously. And back when I was in high school, I cheated a lot on people's papers because I didn't study and those type of things. And I spent more time in the library reading National Dragster and Cargraph magazine than I did studying. And so I said, when I go to school, I'm gonna really buckle down. And I did. And I was just really close to graduating with those honor cords. You couldn't quite get there, but I worked really hard at it. And I look at kind of like when I said this is your life, it really is. And I look back, and God puts people in your I've always said this. It's the weirdest thing if each one of you look back at your life at big things that have happened into your life. God really put these odd people in the odd time of your life at the weirdest places. I look at back significant things that have happened to me in my life, and it's always this one person. This one person did this. And that's kind of where I get if it's sitting on an airplane and I ask a guy to let me read his National Dragster when he gets done with it, to Ted Wood asking to have lunch with me over here at this little pizza place when I was at WT, to jumping off a truck and with a guy just wearing an NFL Films shirt, to taking out a filing cabinet of owner of a coffee shop. God puts these people in your places at different times. And you can only succeed to the help of others, but you can fail all by yourself, is what I always say. So, really, this is the last place I would have ever thought to be honored or anything, because when you kind of have a mouth like mine, you kind of make some enemies along the way. But I've always done things real simply. I do these things because I want to help other people. And if I'm standing up for a taxpayer or I'm popping off about how we're not doing something right here or whatever, I'm not doing it out of self-interest. I usually do it out because I think there's injustices somewhere down the road that I try to make a difference. So the one thing I appreciate the most about this award and the selection committee who made this selection, what this has been, what a gift. Not in the sense of the award, yes, that's a gift, but the gift that you gave me by showing up here today and honoring me was a great point where I can self-reflect and appreciate everything that I have in life, not what I've accomplished, but what I have. So thank you again. Thanks for coming, and carry on.
Our second inductee is Lou Ann Seaborn.
When I was in high school, I was really pretty shy, didn't really talk much, and I got on stage and went, wow, this is amazing. I was in my first play and it opened up a whole world for me. So I continued that plus speech activities through my high school career and knew when I went to college I wanted to do something in the communication field. I actually thought it might be radio TV, but as I went to college I realized no, it was straight communication and all of the interp, debate, all of those things that I really loved. I started at WT as a student in 1974 here, graduated in '76. Then I started teaching junior high, and while I was teaching junior high, I also was working on my master's degree here at WT. After I had been teaching for about 9 years at the junior high level, I had the opportunity to come here and teach full-time. And since then, I've always kept in touch, and I've been able to come on campus and observe Connie students, do critiquing of those students, come back and watch shows, just be a part of the program. So it's always fun to come back. I was at the very first ceremony when they inducted the first class, and I saw 3 of my former students and a colleague be inducted, and I was just so impressed with them. Each one of those students has just gone way above where I had seen them last.
Luann always had the student in mind, whether it was her student or a student she was assisting as an advisor or as an administrator in our dual credit program. They came first with her, and that's one of the reasons that we wanted to hire her, is that all of her efforts were to ensure that students had the opportunity to improve their lives. She was a big part of creating futures for them, and I always have admired that quality about Luann Siebert.
She is amazing. As a teacher, she was student-oriented. She always wanted to do what was good for the students. She brought in all kinds of exciting people into persuasion and gave us lectures and changed our minds and opened our worlds.
Her students talk about Luann's ability to get them connected with the subject matter. She was very interactive, but the thing that I think is most memorable is that she helped students become confident. And you'll find that from people like Dr. Russell Lowry Hart, who is now president of Amarillo College. He was one of Luann's students, and he will talk about the confidence that she instilled in him. That's the kind of thing that she did. Luann's good friend, Ann Schaffner, is the person who nominated Luann for the Communication Hall of Fame. And they, of course, went to college together, and so she knows all of Luann's secrets, I think. But the thing that she also mentioned in her nomination form was the long-standing contributions that Luann has made to the community here at WT as well at Amarillo College. When she left teaching here at West Texas A&M, she went to Amarillo College and began working with dual credit programs and other external programs, eventually retiring as a vice president. She always was very good at organizing things and continues to be good at organizing things. But she does so with a smile and a positive experience that makes you want to be the best person you can be. And that's how she affects the community.
Congratulations, Luann, and thanks for being my teacher. You made a difference in my life.
Well, I am so proud of Luann Siebert for receiving this wonderful, well-deserved honor.
Communication has been my life work, whether I was teaching speech or later in my career when I was an administrator and I was actually using everything I had ever taught before in my life. Communication is very much part of who I am. And so to be honored for that, that's amazing. And it is just a joy to be honored for something that you love so much.
Please join me in congratulating Luann Seaborn. Congrats.
Thank you. I'm just excited to be here. This is such a great evening. First, I would like to thank Trudy and the Hall of Fame committee for all of your hard work and for this beautiful evening tonight. I would like to thank Ann Schaffner for nominating me. I'd like to thank Virginia Myers for being the first one who actually introduced me to competitive speech. And I would like to thank Tron and her crew for the video that you just saw. They really are miracle workers. And as I look at my fellow recipients, and as I think back about previous recipients, I am truly honored to be in your midst. I am surrounded by mentors, colleagues, friends, and former students, people who have taught me, inspired me, and yes, Craig, at times irritated me. Craig's one of those former students. At my time here at WT, both as a student and a faculty member, my life has been enriched by so many people. Dr. Zell Sorrell, who inspired in me this love for the flow and the feel and the sound of language. Guy Paul Yates, who introduced me to that new field of interpersonal communication. Of numerous international students who inspired in me and instilled in me this great appreciation for different cultures and life experiences. For Dr. Paul Matney, who exemplified for me what it is to be a consummate educator. Dr. June Smith, who trusted me enough to give me the opportunity to teach at the college level. And hundreds of students, many of who are in this room, who gave me the privilege to be involved in your lives and to share my passion for communication. I'm indebted to all of you. Now, there are many stories that could be told about my time here in the Department of Communication, but one tends to stand out for me. Now, when I attended here as an undergraduate student, this was the Department of Speech and Theater. And consequently, if you were an oral interp student, you were probably involved in theater. And I was fortunate enough to be directed by William A. and Margaret Moore. Now, to be honest, Mrs. Moore was not on staff at WT, but no one was brave enough to tell her that. And as a couple, they were like the dastardly duo of directing. Well, one night during a rehearsal for the Merchant of Venice, we were having a particularly horrible rehearsal. I mean, we complained that the scenery wasn't finished. We complained that the costumes weren't ready. We complained about everything to take away from the fact that we were pitiful. We flubbed lines. We missed entrances. It was awful. And suddenly, out of the darkness, this voice boomed, "Everyone on stage." And after we scurried on to the middle of the stage, Mrs. Moore drew herself up to her full 4'11", and in that voice, that melodious, that wonderful theatrical voice, she admonished us, "Ladies and gentlemen, if you cannot act without costumes and scenery, you cannot act with them. We will begin again from the top." And we did. But I've thought of that often as I've stopped and started again from the top, remembering that if I can't do the job before me without costumes and scenery, I couldn't do it with them. For this and many other life lessons, memories, and friends, I would like to thank the WT Communications Department. It is truly an honor to be inducted into your Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Great stories happen to those who can tell them. Thank you. So our third inductee tonight is Randy Ray. And just to preface, it would be a little unfair for Randy to unbiasedly grade a video about himself, right? We all know he loves the spotlight. So his colleague and former student, Johnny Story, put together this video.
I'm Randy Ray. I was in a band called Legend 7 back in the early 90s. In 1992, we signed a record deal with Word Records. We were produced by Grammy Award-winning producer Bubba Smith and Grammy Award-winning recording engineer Mark DeSisto. In 1994, we were nominated for Rock Band of the Year on the American Christian Music Awards. We had several songs that were on the Christian charts. We even had a few of them go to number one.
Where's the victory if army is divine? When your words are all kind. Friendly fire, no minds, ignoring their lies. Whoa.
We toured probably about 46 of the 50 states. We also toured Europe twice. We played Canada. Been all over. Been a lot of places.
WT is very lucky to have somebody like Randy Ray. Randy is the definition of cool. Literally a rock star, and he brings that experience, with him to the classroom as well as working with students outside the classroom.
Working with Randy is quite joyful. The work ethic he has is just amazing. You give him an assignment, he gets things done.
Randy is who you want to work with on a daily basis. If I could work with a team of Randys every day, man, I'd be the most successful guy out there.
He is not one to stand in the limelight, but the program was successful because Randy Ray was the one helping with it.
The phrase, the house that so-and-so built, gets thrown around pretty casually, but this studio and this broadcasting facility and the Mass Comm students that pass through it, it truly is the house that Randy Ray built. I mean, quite literally, from putting together the studios to helping design the schematics of the building itself. I mean, that's not an exaggeration. This is the house that Randy built.
I think all of Randy's experiences have made him a unique educator.
He has had experience in just about every facet of the industry that you could possibly want to glean experience from. And that was one of the things that I found most impacting about his teaching was how much experience he actually brought to the table.
That's because he brought a sense of the real world. It wasn't just something he learned in a book.
He expects you as a student to act as a professional and to present yourself professionally and to put forth a product that you could put out into the real world and it would make it.
That kind of real world experience is just priceless.
I'm convinced there's no one on this campus that cares more about your individual success than Randy.
If you were a student that was willing to put forth the effort and that knew what you were doing and where you wanted to go, Randy would do everything in the world to help you out, and he still does.
The reason I graduated from WT was Randy Ray. That sounds dramatic and all that, but that is the God-honest truth. Him being able to pull me aside and having a one-on-one, heart-to-heart, not as a professor, as a student relationship, but just an advisor kind of and a friend, really.
I took this current teaching position so that I could get some experience under my belt. That way when I finish my master's degree, I can have that teaching experience to bring to the table because I want to be a professor of mass communication. I wouldn't mind being a female version of Randy Ray, maybe.
I remember when Randy started using the word dig in. We need to get these students engaged, and Randy said they need to dig in. And that's absolutely it.
all around it means get in there and get your hands dirty, get your hands on something.
It means to get involved. It means to become part of student organizations in the Department of Communication and on campus.
It's still a huge thing for me now, where anything that I do, I want to give it 110%.
When someone digs in, they're learning and they're also gaining ownership over this product that is the Mass Comm department at West Texas A&M University.
Randy, I am so extremely proud of you. I love you. Thank you so much for everything that you've given to me as a student and a professional and a person. And thank you for everything that you have done for the department.
I wasn't kidding when I said that this was the house that Randy Ray built. And I wasn't kidding that you are the reason that I graduated from WTE. And I'm not kidding that you changed my life. Keep it up, and I love you, man.
It's your love of West Texas A&M, your love of the students, that I believe is why no one is more deserving of this than you.
You know, at the end of the day, I think we are all just looking for our calling. What's God's plan for us? I believe that this is a life-changing place. And if students just come to WT and they just let this place change them and let this place help them discover who they really are, their future is forever changed. I love what I do, but if I win the lottery on my way home tonight, I'll be at work tomorrow. I'll be on a brand new motorcycle, but I will still be here.
So as Randy makes his way to the stage to dig into his speech, I actually want to welcome a few of his students from KWTS to the stage.
All right, so like the video said it, this guy is very special to us. This actually completes my first year here at WT, and I gotta say that this man, he received me with open arms, and from the staff here at KWTS, Randy, we wanted to present you with something. I'm not just.
And a shovel.
And this. Get a picture of that? Yeah, right here. Yes, yeah.
Kirk, I wish that I could pull off a bow tie like that. But I got to ask, dude, are you not wearing socks? Are you not, you are or you're not?
I am wearing.
It doesn't look like socks. I was going to, yeah, you know, it's an important night. Put some socks on. It's not that big a deal.
That's the guy holding a shovel.
Yeah. Well, let me start out by saying, on behalf of my entire family, let me apologize for my hair in that video. You know, I can remember the fall of 1980, and I was getting out of high school, and I did not have a clue about what I wanted to do. And this guy that my parents knew gave me a WT catalog, And I started thumbing through the catalog, and nothing really interested me. And then all of a sudden, I landed on the communication department page. And as I was looking through that, I saw that a student could actually specialize in radio and television and film, media stuff. And I thought for the first time, maybe that's it. Maybe that's something for me. So I talked to my parents. I said, you know, I think I want to go to West Texas State University. So we loaded up my mom's 1967 green Volkswagen with all my stuff, which wasn't very much stuff. And my dad brought me over, and he dropped me off at Jarrett Hall. I heard later that he said to my mom, yeah, I'll give him 2 weeks. Well, Dad, it's 37 years later, and I'm still here. You know, to be perfectly honest, I think Dad was probably right. Had I not found the communication department, I doubt that I'd ever made it through college. But not only did I find a home, but I found a calling. And that calling is to, you know, that calling is a love for the media, and it is a love for teaching and training and mentoring the next generation of mass communicators. And I love what I do. And I couldn't be here tonight. I couldn't be at that place where I can do that kind of stuff without a lot of people that I want to thank tonight. First of all, I want to thank a lot of them that were up here tonight. If you are my student or you were one of my students, would you mind standing up? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, thank you guys for just first of all for having patience with me at times, and also thank you for letting me just be a small part of your education. I also want to thank Dr. Kaler, Dr. Schaefer, Dr. Mallard, and Dr. Hanson. Thank you guys for always renewing my contract. And thank you for making this such a great place to work. Let me say thank you to the selection committee. I was in London, well, I was actually in England on a study abroad trip, and Dr. Hanson notified me that I had been selected. And my first thought was, if I've been selected, there must be a whole lot of drinking going on during the selection committee meetings. Is that right, Dan? Were you throwing them back? Yeah, that's what I thought. You and Mr. Hamilton, yeah, wasted, so yeah. Well, thank you guys for, whether that's true or not, thank you for picking me for some reason. I don't know. I'd like to thank my buddy, Johnny Story. Johnny Story is the heart and soul of our department. He's hardworking. He brings passion to what he does, and he, man, I could not do what I do on a daily basis without Johnny at my side. Do let me also say thank you for that video. I think your work on that video may get you another Emmy. Notice that I said another, so I know how to pick the people that make my videos. They are Emmy award-winning people, so. I also want to thank my in-laws who are sitting down here at the front table, who've always been very understanding, even when I have said things like, do you mind if I marry your daughter and move her 1,000 miles away to Nashville, Tennessee so I can play bass in a rock band? And they were always very understanding, so I appreciate you guys, and I love you for always being understanding. I want to thank my parents down here, Larry and Lynn Ray, who never gave up on me. And trust me, there were plenty of times that they had every right to give up on me, but they never did. And I appreciate that. There were plenty of times in high school, and I think there were even a few times a couple of weeks ago that they could have given up, but they didn't do that. So I appreciate that. Thank you both for working so hard to put me through college. Thank you to my two kids. It's very quiet right now. My daughter, Rachel, my two kids, my daughter Rachel couldn't be here tonight because she's working. She's a doctor. She's working as a doctor. She's a hard-working doctor. Did I mention that she's a doctor? Yeah. I love you. I know you're watching. Yeah. My son Luke, right down here. Luke, I'm very proud of too. He is kind of following me a little bit in the media business. He works for Dan Morgan at Channel 4 as a studio cameraman. He's already a better audio engineer and a better musician than I'll ever be, so I'm proud of you and I love you. And finally, let me thank the most important person in the world. You know, there have been plenty of times when you could have said, you know what, that's stupid. Or that's not very smart, or you could have said, that's a crazy idea, or you could have said, why don't you get a real job? But you never said that, you always stood by me. And she really is the person that deserves the award tonight. So I love her, and guess what? Tonight is her birthday. So here's what I want to do. So on the count of 3, if we could all say happy birthday, Anita, I would appreciate it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Anita. Yeah. I won't tell them how old you are. You know, my favorite writer is C.S. Lewis, and he has a quote that I have up in my office that says, we as educators must be working for the moment that our students are fit to become our biggest critics and rivals. And I try to read that every day. Now, I want to make everyone in this room 2 promises. One is I want to promise you that I will always give it my best in educating the communicators of tomorrow. I'll give it all I got. And number 2, I want to promise you that I will never forget tonight and what an honor and a privilege it is to receive this award. Go Buffs and dig in.
So this event marks one of the biggest ones of the year for the communications department, but it's not the only one. I hope you'll mark your calendars and plan to be part of Communication Week that will happen right here on campus in February. So thank you again for being here. We hope that you will consider nominating another one of your colleagues, friends, coworkers, mentors for this great award. The nominations will open up in May, and you can reach out to Dr. Hanson. I keep saying that. She's the lady with all the information. If you have any questions about nominating someone. So in closing, we would love to thank some students that really helped put this event together. So FACT, students planned this. The event planning class, Vanessa Dirksmeyer's event planning class. If you're here, stand up. And the class, thank you. They planned everything from the logistics to the decorations, which I think is absolutely appropriate for a student-centered university to put this event in the hands of the students. So thank you for supporting it. We will see you next year, and have an excellent night.